I feel like everybody goes to HA, does well, and then they leave and they go to AA. Is that what you did?
No, I'm super involved in NA.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's where I started too. Oh, well, that makes sense because of where we both got started.
Right.
That was my whole first year. Like the reason it worked for me, I think, is because I went to like the big Tri-City meeting on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's so cool that that's what you still do.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm super involved in NA.
When were you at CASA?
Oh, shoot. I was in CASA in 2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
would you go to the meeting at Docs sometimes?
Yeah. We were,
really?
When I was I'd never lasted more than like 3 weeks at CASA.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was the secretary of the Monday night meeting at Docs, and all the CASA guys would come over. So like, I guarantee you I was there once when you came over.
Yeah.
I love those programs. Like CASA, Choices, maybe not CASA, I guess.
Yeah, I just wasn't ready.
Right.
You know, when I was there.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Definitely. I loved Crash.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
A lot of people are like,
yeah.
It's funny. And when I was locked up, everybody's like, that's the one program you don't want.
Totally. I know.
Crash.
You know what, though? I could see myself, if you buy into it and you let them, we do need to be broken down at our level. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm getting way ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about what Crash is later, but like, I think I could have done well there too. I mean, you just got to get past the beginning part where you have all those restrictions. And then over time, I mean, you always have restrictions, right? But like, you just start to understand it. You know what I mean? Like any program.
Yeah.
You know? But so are you from here? Are you from North County?
Yeah, I grew up in Vista. I'm from Tri-City area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my hometown.
Okay.
I consider Vista Carlsbad and Oceanside.
Yeah.
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 Where I grew up.
What school did you go to?
I went to Rancho Buena Vista.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So Vista.
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you do in school?
I'm a good student. I'm a good student. I did well.
Yeah. What was your family life like?
Great.
Like who was in the house? What was the dynamic? All that stuff.
I have 2 little brothers and 2 older sisters. My parents were together. I grew up in a solid family unit.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of deteriorated as I became a young adult because my dad started using.
Was he in recovery like when you were growing up? Was he like went to meetings and you knew he was in recovery?
Growing up. Like we kind of gravitated more towards church when I was a kid. And then when we stopped going to church when I was 9 or 10, then my dad started smoking weed and drinking again.
Oh, interesting.
Same with my mom.
Okay.
And then my dad he's an addict too.
Okay.
He started using crystal when I was probably like 13 or 14. And then it was just like that slow, progressive decline of the family life. My sisters grew up and moved away.
Okay.
My dad started using drugs. My mom kind of started going in a different direction, like went back to school and got an advanced degree. And my dad was kind of.
Had he used before, like when he was younger?
He got clean when I was born because he was doing wild stuff.
Oh, wow. So he was able to stay sober for a while.
Yeah, I think he had about 10 years of sobriety. And he didn't do 12 steps.
He just stopped.
Yeah, in church, and the fact that he had 3 or 4 young children at home.
Did you know before he started using again, did you know my dad used to use drugs and now he's sober, or did it not matter because you had never seen it, so it probably didn't come up?
Never seen it. I didn't know.
Okay. So did you know when he started using?
Oh, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. How could you tell?
His personality changed a little bit. He'd come in all red-eyed. And,
yeah.
You know, I knew that my parents were hippies.
Okay.
You know? I could see old pictures with the long hair. And it's not like it was kept hush-hush in my family. Like, I still had cousins and uncles that were still actively drinking and using. I just knew that our family didn't.
Okay.
So.
Wow. So what started to happen as he started using more? And then did you know what meth was at that time, or did you learn about it because your dad was doing it?
I learned about it because my dad was doing it.
Okay. How did you find out? Like, what did that look like?
I started finding his stashes.
Okay.
Started to find pipes and the dope laying around. Didn't really know. And then would do investigating with friends. And then slowly discovered what it was.
Okay. Did you graduate from high school?
Yeah.
Okay. And when's the first time you got high?
Shoot. The first time I smoked weed, I was like 10 or 11. It was the summer before 6th grade.
Okay.
And I had taken some weed from my dad. Me and my buddies all went in the bush and smoked weed.
Knowing that it was from your dad or your parents, did you feel like it's kind of okay, my parents are doing it, or not really? You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I totally look up to my dad.
Yeah.
Like he was my hero.
Okay.
So I thought that was totally normal.
Did that change when you found out? Were you disappointed, or did you think this is okay, the crystal?
Oh, I thought it was fine.
You did? Okay.
The first time I smoked weed, I knew I liked to get high.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I didn't really know there was anything super wrong with it.
Okay.
You know, especially when you're living in a household where it's like my parents are married, we live in a house, things are normal, everybody seems relatively happy. There's no like dysfunction right in front of my face. My parents aren't yelling at each other. There's no violence.
Yeah.
Growing up here in North County, where it's like kind of part of that surfer counterculture is you get high. It's kind of all right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So after you got high before 6th grade, like how did it start to progress from there? Did you start doing it right away, or was it like
I got caught immediately.
You did? How did you get caught? Okay, tell me the story.
The guy that look back and we're so young, right? And my best friend at the time, he freaked out and he told his sister and mom, like, we smoked pot in the bush. And so I think that was the first time I went into treatment. When I was my mom, they freaked out and they sent me. I was like 11.
Where'd you go when you're 11?
I know, right? There used to be this outpatient facility off of Postal Way in Vista. Postal Way and what used to be right next to on the same street. On the corner of what used to be Escondido Boulevard.
Okay.
Now it's Civic Center and Postal Way. Mm-hmm. There used to be, it was called Palomar Outpatient or something.
So it was outpatient.
Yeah. And I remember going in and like I had smoked weed once or twice and my mom just absolutely lost it. And they dropped me off at this outpatient. I remember being in there with kids who were 13 or 14 and had actually like done cocaine.
Totally.
Doing so. And it freaks me out. It scared me. You know what my parents did too? They also bribed me. They're like, you can't smoke weed and you need to do good in school. And if you get like I remember my mom was like, if you get a 3.5, we'll buy you a wetsuit. If you get a 4.0 and do that the whole school year, we'll buy you a new surfboard. And so it's like that reward. I was like, oh yeah.
But did that work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's kind of cool. You're totally a surfer. Now I can kind of, do you still surf?
Yeah.
Okay. I can totally see that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So there was that
So it did work.
It worked.
Okay.
It worked. And it was like 6th grade and 7th grade, I wasn't getting high.
Okay.
Like I was a good little schoolboy, did what my parents said.
How did it start to come back up again?
Just, that being that age and being around that crowd of people were smoking weed and getting high. It's not like my dad didn't stop smoking weed.
Right.
And it's not like my mom didn't stop drinking. Like it was still around me.
Yeah.
So it was something I gravitated towards.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be like adults.
Yeah. So what does that start to look like? When does it progress, like throughout high school? When do you start, like when's the first time you do cocaine, or what's like the next level up drug was? Oh, you did?
Yeah. As soon as I got into high school.
Okay.
It was cocaine and party drugs. And even in 8th grade, we had friends that were on Ritalin. Okay. And so we would be taking speed and didn't even know it.
Right. Yeah.
We're getting Vicodin and not realizing we're getting high on opiates.
Yeah.
So.
But you graduate high school.
I graduate.
Where do you go after that? Did you go to like a college, or what'd you go?
Yeah, in 2000, right after high school, I went to Palomar College. I went to Palomar. That's when the family life started to really go. Like my dad really started using crystal. The tension between my parents was glaring. I was using anything I could get my hands on at the time. At that time, like really got introduced to painkillers. I hurt myself in 2004 to shatter my ankle. And it was like during that time where if you hurt yourself a little bit, you're getting prescribed like Roxycontin, Xanax, everything. So I had these doctors just throwing me all sorts of pills. And I immediately got strung out. So by the time I was 20 years old, I was already strung out on Roxycontin, and I was getting benzos, anything that just kind of feel good.
Were you snorting them, the pills?
Yeah, absolutely.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know you would get strung out? Like, did you know you'd get sick? I didn't either.
Right?
Yeah, I did not know. When was the first time you realized, like, oh shit, I'm sick, and it's because of the pills?
So I was 20 years old, and I just transferred from Palomar College to Cal State San Marcos. And I remember waking up just deathly ill and really couldn't figure out why, and just having this urge, it's like, I need drugs, you know what I mean? So I didn't realize I would get so physically ill.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And I did anything to chase that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel that way.
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah. How long do you stay in school after that moment of realizing I'm strung out?
I lasted like a semester.
Okay.
There was a 6-month period of constantly being dope sick, right? Yeah. Pills, I stopped getting my prescriptions. Pills were expensive. I was a student. I didn't have a lot of money. So it was like I'd be good for a few days and then I'd be dope sick for 4 or 5 days. And I'd be able to get something. I put myself into a tremendous amount of debt. Everything around me was just like didn't focus on anything but the finding and using of Oxycontin, essentially.
Debt, like you would get credit cards and take out cash. Like, how did you get money? That
Yeah, I maxed out a few credit cards.
Okay.
Probably like $20,000 or $30,000 of credit card debt. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then you moved to heroin at some point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was going to Cal State San Marcos, I was working at this. We built like speaker cabs, guitar cabs, bass monitors, PA monitors, and it was this. My buddy from high school, his dad had tried to start this company. Anyways, there was like 4 of us working there. And you know when there's another dope fiend, they know when you're sick. Like I was at work and I was just like in the back, curled up, sweating. We didn't want to do anything. And this kid came up to me and asked me, he's like, "Hey, are you sick?" And I immediately, he knew, right? He's like, "Are you sick?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, we could get some heroin after work if you want." And I was like, "Well, oh, you could get that?" Like, I didn't have any connects at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I was in my early 20s. I wasn't around people who knew about that. And so I was immediately like, yes, absolutely. And it was cheaper.
Right.
And
So you had no hesitation between like, oh, that's heroin. That's too
I
far.
had no moral qualms.
Okay.
I did not want to feel like I was dying.
Right. Yeah.
In the deepest depths of depression.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And at this point too, when I was like 20, 21, my dad was a full-on tweaker. My mom left.
Oh.
Like, and my mom left in a real kind of, like, we woke up and my mom was gone. And like her things were gone. Everything was gone. I didn't talk to her for like a year and a half. Didn't know where she was. My dad's using crystal. I got these 2 little brothers that I feel responsible for. And like I thought I needed to be an adult and grown up and take care of them. Yeah. The reality of the situation was like I was a 20-year-old kid who was already strung out on opiates and was like so deeply depressed about what was going on in my life.
Wow. You woke up and your mom was just gone. Where did she go?
She had found a spot to live somewhere in Vista, but she kept it from her husband and her kids because whatever she was obviously going through it.
Yeah.
Her marriage fell apart. Her husband was tweaking,
yeah,
you know, and unwilling to make a change.
Right. So you heard from her like a year and a half later for the first time? So as far as you knew, you might not ever talk to her again. You had no idea.
No idea. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so traumatic.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I could recognize that now.
Yeah.
Being that age, I don't know. It's funny how I didn't, like, I was like, oh, well, I'm old enough, you know.
Right.
The thing was like, no, I was a kid.
Totally.
You know, and for all that to happen was so traumatic.
Yeah.
And it's not like it was just me and my dad and my brothers at the house. Like, my house quickly went from being a loving family to Hell's Angels in the living room with motorcycles, tweakers up all night playing darts. Like, my dad just totally fell apart. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy. And here I am trying to go to school and look after my little brothers. And the only thing I knew how to do to bury that sadness was to get high.
Yeah.
Because even though my world was falling apart, if I smoked a little bit of heroin or snorted some oxy, took some Xanax, it quickly became manageable and tolerable, and I felt good, and I confused that pleasure with happiness.
Right. Wow. Okay, so you're living at home, it's fucking crazy, Hell's Angels in the living room, you do heroin with that guy that day, and then does it kind of take off from there doing heroin, and you just smoked it at first?
Yeah, I smoked it for like the first couple of months. As soon as I was introduced to heroin, there was absolutely no point in trying to go out and find pharmaceuticals.
Agree.
No point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I quickly fell into that world.
Did you start getting arrested, or how did you start paying for it?
Well, that's when I started to really max out the credit cards. I was able to maintain a job for a while.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That blows my mind. I was never able to do that. That's a lie. When I first started, so I'm in fitness, right? And so for the first 10 months of my using, this is fucking crazy. You're from the area, so you know Rancho Santa Fe, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. There's that really nice resort in there, Rancho Valencia. Have you heard of that? I was teaching there.
Oh, wow.
They're paying me $100 an hour to teach spin and Pilates and bar in 2008 to like incredibly wealthy women. I would smoke meth and heroin in the parking lot of Rancho Valencia and then go inside and teach people. Isn't that crazy?
It's wild.
Every once in a while I meet somebody from the area and I'm like, no, you can't understand how much I shouldn't have been doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would have been doing it at like the Beverly Hills Country Club, but nicer. You know what I mean? I'm like, you have to understand how it's like a 5-diamond resort. And then my janky ass would like bend over with tinfoil, walking with like smudgy prints. But I only made that last for like 10 months. And then I never could use and have a job again. How long were you able to use and have a job?
Oh man, it's funny with the heroin. I would have jobs for a couple of months. The same things, the fucking black fingers. Oh my gosh, everything was covered in soot. My brother was so mad.
Yeah,
dude.
my boyfriend would get so mad at me. He made us. I say made us. That's when we switched to needles. He had already been doing it, and I didn't know he'd been using needles, and I was like super against it. And we were living in motels, and like cops were showing up sometimes. And he convinced me. He was like, "Your smudgy prints are going to get us arrested because every door, everywhere we go,
smudgy.
Yeah, with smudgy prints. And also the foil is too hard to flush. We need to switch to needles." And it was because of my stupid fucking smudgy prints. Everything was black. Isn't that fucked up? I know. But it's funny, like the things that you forget about until you hear somebody else saying, and you're like, oh my God, that's right. It had handprints everywhere.
Black everywhere.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And a callus on my thumb from the lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I can actually still feel it. Been clean 11 years. And I swear I still have a little bit of a callus from constantly flicking the lighter.
I look back to on smoking. I was like, what a waste, man.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, no, after we moved to needles, I went through a period where I didn't want to know how to do it. That was like my version of harm reduction. Because I thought, well, if I don't know how to do it, then I won't do it on my own, maybe in some magical world. And then, of course, and like, it would surprise you how many girls do this. They think, you just do it for me, and literally go like this. Mm-hmm. And if I don't know, then I won't do it. But then inevitably he gets locked up and you learn, you know what I mean? And I know like 30 other chicks that have done that exact same path. You know what I mean? Just like I did. And sure enough, he went to jail. We actually both went to jail, but I got out before him and I learned how, you know what I mean? But after that, I never would have gone back to smoking. Like if in some awful scenario I relapsed tomorrow, I would go get needles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Why would you do it any differently? Yeah.
The times that I've relapsed, it's always right back.
Right to the needle. Yeah. Would you stay sick until you could find a needle?
No.
Okay. You wouldn't.
I wouldn't do that. Okay. I mean, and I worked for a diabetic supply company for a long time.
You always had bricks. Okay. Okay.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was when still it was hard to get them from any type of pharmacy. So no, I always had hundreds of them.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't get them anywhere. And I didn't know, actually legally, they have to give them to you. And when I was using, they had to in California, but I didn't know that. And I also wasn't going to like stand my ground, right. Junkie. Do you know what I mean? And like a pharmacy, which is located at the back of a store. And so if I'm back there and they call the cops, you know, so it was like I would use the same needle for 2 months or something. All the numbers are rubbed off. It's like hooked, you know?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But anyways, okay. So at some point you moved to needles and then you'd keep a job for a few months and then get fired and get another one. And okay. What kind of work did you do?
Well, I was working at that guitar cab place for a while. They fired me because I was strung out and always getting dope sick. And that was kind of when I was like, okay, I can't be a successful user. That was when I was introduced to methadone for the first time. I knew I couldn't, like I was so tired of being sick and I knew like, okay. And then my dad and my brothers found out. And so they had like a little bit of intervention. And so I looked up Capilina Clinic and got on methadone for the first time. But methadone just allowed me to stay well and just keep getting high.
Totally.
So, and that's after I left the guitar place and dropped out of college, I started working at that diabetic supply company. And
you were able to keep that job because you were on methadone also.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know why I never thought of that.
You know, it's a pain in the ass. You gotta get up in the morning and go. Like, it sucks.
$15 a day.
Yeah,
like,
it's expensive.
You know?
I think I did it for like maybe a year and then tried to get clean without working any type of program. And so I was smoking weed and drinking. But I would never last more than a couple of weeks before I started using heroin again.
Like after getting clean or while you were on methadone?
It changed. Like the first time I got on methadone, I was continuing to use, but then I stopped using heroin, was just on methadone. I slowly tapered off of methadone,
Okay.
got off of methadone, lasted a couple of weeks, and started using heroin again.
Okay. Did you do like the blind taper detox kind of thing on
Yeah,
methadone?
I
Okay.
did.
Okay. But that actually worked for you.
It was so miserable. Oh my gosh. It sucked.
It's bad.
It sucked.
Yeah, totally.
You know, it was literally like a month long of just awfulness. And then
Totally.
methadone and Suboxone is the worst.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So you detox that first time and you're just trying to like smoke weed and drink and like not go to programs. How many years does it go on where you're like methadone, heroin?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, that progression was about 5 years long. I had never gotten in trouble with the law. It was like these little spurts of using and then getting dope sick all the time and then going on Suboxone, going on methadone, and getting a little bit of stability back in my life before going back out and using.
Yeah.
And then at this point, like my family just had it. My mom was back in my life. And at one point she kind of was like, stay with me. And then as soon as she found out that I was on methadone, it was like, well, you can't be on methadone when you're in my house. So that was like a forced detox over that.
How did she come back? What was like did you come home and she was in the house or did she call you?
Out to me and my brothers, you know.
Okay.
She is
She just called you?
Yeah.
How did you feel when that happened?
I resented her and was angry at her for a very long time.
Yeah. You seem like a healed person, which is why I'm even asking. Do you know what I mean? Like even before we get there, and also I've heard you share in meetings, I feel like at some point you've probably worked through it. That's why I'm even asking. I'm sure at the time, like if I felt like this was like an open wound, I probably wouldn't touch it. But like at the time, I'm sure it was really challenging, you know?
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
What kid just doesn't want to live from their mother? You know what I mean?
Well, and disappearing like that too. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I was
you know what I
mad
mean?
for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's intense. I don't think I've ever shared this on the show, but I don't think it's a problem. My dad got married without telling us. And that's minor, kind of comparatively, but it still was I was about the same age. I was like 20. And I was so thrown to feel so dismissed from his life.
Yeah.
You know? And I just thought, wait, what? We were at dinner and he was wearing a wedding ring. And I said, what is that? And he was like, oh, yeah, actually, my friend, and he said her name. And I said, yeah, because I've heard about this lady. And he said, we got married last week. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, wow. It's just like so sad. It makes me like want to cry now for me then. Because to him, I was like, congratulations. Like I didn't know what else to, and then I got in my car and I just started sobbing, crying. Like I couldn't believe that we didn't know, And I feel like that's minor compared to waking up and she's gone. But the feeling of being dismissed from a parent is brutal, So did you live with your dad during that whole 5 years? He let you still live there?
It's funny. Well, my dad, shortly after I started using heroin and getting strung out, he got clean.
Oh, okay.
And he got involved in the 12-step program.
Okay.
He's got like 15 years of clean time.
Oh,
now.
that it actually worked for you?
Or 14. He still has 14 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he got super involved. That was when I was introduced to the rooms for the first time. But he found somebody and got married almost immediately.
Oh, okay.
So that was a trip. And
did they tell you?
Yeah, I knew what was going on.
Did you go to the wedding?
I did. Did I go to the wedding? I think I did. Yeah,
okay.
I did. He moved in with her. And so it was like
okay.
I had to move out.
You had to move.
I had to move out. And that was when my mom reached out again.
Okay.
I moved in with my mom.
How long did you stay with her?
Just a few months.
Okay. And then where do you go?
Months. And then I found a room to rent.
Okay.
Yeah, just a room to rent in Vista while I was working at that diabetic supply company. But I was still just doing my thing.
What did you do at the diabetic supply company?
I was like a shipping and receiving guy. So it was
Okay.
like shipping diabetic supplies all day.
Would you just steal needles or were you allowed to buy them at cost or something?
I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
keep anything logged.
Dude, you could have sold some to people.
Oh, I used to trade them all the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
That's kind of how I was.
That would have
able
been
to
a decent
maintain-
hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that lasts for 5 years. And then what happens after the 5 years?
So that's when it kind of progressed, right? And to the point where I started getting arrested. So I started slipping up hard at the diabetic supply company. I couldn't maintain. You know what was a big factor in all this was fucking Xanax.
Okay.
I would take Xanax, like I was on Suboxone or methadone, And I was getting high when I could afford it. So like I was stable. I wasn't having those ups and downs and kicking all the time.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm in my late 20s and I kind of was like getting the feelers out. Okay, this is how I'm going to do this. I'm drinking, I'm smoking weed, I'm doing all that. Then I started binging on Xanax. And dude, I would do the most outlandish, crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I would do it at work. I took like 3 or 4 bars before I go into work, black out, and then like 2 days later, like just be in a pile of it, and people are like mad at me, and I'm like, what, and just doing all sorts of crazy stuff, stealing stuff from people. Like I become a klepto. I don't know.
Okay, but everybody does. Okay,
Everybody.
so benzos are like the only thing I never really got into because they just knocked me out, and so I never like really got into it. Why does everybody steal on Xanax?
I don't know.
Because everybody does. It's weird.
It's
like
bizarre.
in a blackout, you'll like go into someone's house and take a painting off the wall. My friend Turtle did that more than once.
Dude, I used to
You just walked out with a painting.
Yeah, I used to take lawn gnomes and stuff like that. Or I would like steal stuff.
Lawn gnomes?
Yeah.
From like their front yard?
Yeah, from front yards. They used to have a collection of like lawn gnomes, different types of lawn gnomes, and pink flamingos. Wherever I could find those, I'd go on missions looking for them. But yeah, I would steal stuff. I'd steal stuff from coworkers, like stupid stuff. I would discard some of my things and replace it with things that were like worse, just crazy stuff.
Wait, do you have an example of that? It's just
okay. So one time I bought a brand new pair of like Aerotat cowboy boots, like a $400 pair of cowboy boots. Nice cowboy boots. Super stoked on them. I take a couple of Xanax bars down here in downtown Carlsbad, right? And I go wandering. I black out, and I come to the next day with like a pair of ratty Vans sneakers on, and my cowboy boots are just gone. And this has happened to me multiple times.
So you traded somebody?
I trade.
Oh my gosh.
Just like I've had buddies tell me like, no, dude, you just start disrobing and doing weird stuff and taking. So
I wonder what it is about benzos. For anybody listening, if we have any like psychiatrists or substance abuse counselors that know about the chemistry, like what is it about benzos that makes people steal? Because it's so common, and I don't know what it is about that chemistry that makes people steal. Like most people do the same thing. That's so wild to me.
Yeah.
That's funny
thing. But
Okay.
I would have such erratic behavior.
Like crying. That's
Xanax.
so funny to me that you woke up with Vans on instead of your nice cowboy
And new
boots.
$400 pair of cowboy boots. But I feel like there was nothing super gnarly and severe in my mid 20s, late 20s. I was kind of able, like I would lose a job, jump to another job. I would get high on Xanax and do something stupid in front of my roommate and get kicked out of that house because they would be freaked out by my just like totally erratic behavior. And the
So you have a
slurring
car.
and sloppiness. No, I didn't have a car.
Oh, you didn't?
I hadn't had a car. Like during all of this, I never had a car. I don't know how I got around. Like I
How did you
found
get around?
jobs. Like I worked with my roommate, so I got rides to work, and then I got my brother a job at the place I work, so I'd have my brother.
Okay.
I would have to ride a bike every once in a while, but I was like super just local in Vista because I had no car. I had gotten DUIs in the past,
Okay.
and I wasn't making hardly anything, and I was just kind of all right with the fact is okay, I'll just work my crappy little job, get the drugs I want, and
Okay.
just live this kind of crazy little lifestyle.
Small
Look back
life,
on it, it's
yeah.
just like wow, that's so depressing.
I know.
And that's like what I did in my 20s. I
Yeah.
think that like it was so rooted and like I just was so depressed.
Yeah.
Like I suffer from like this sadness that I really have to put work into every single day just to like maintain a level of contentment and not fall into that dark spot. And so obviously drugs were my solution to that. I was all right with being a loner and just using drugs. All my healthy relationships with friends and family kind of gone to the wayside. I wasn't taking care of myself. And something had to snap, and it kind of, I had lost enough jobs, and then my dad had been involved with the 12-step community, and I was super depressed, so I was just kind of willing to make a change. And in 2015, I had like gotten locked up for the first time, and it was something stupid. It was like a drunk in public. Or no, I had gotten a DUI, and I didn't go to my Mothers Against Drunk Driving course.
That happened to me.
Yeah, and they came and locked me up.
They put a warrant out for me.
Yeah. Same thing.
Same thing.
Exact
Yeah,
thing.
and they
happened.
actually brought me into jail for that. They put out a warrant because I didn't do the MAD class, and I went to jail.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Same thing happened.
Yeah, you're the only other person I met that
they
did that.
came and woke me up at 4 a.m. I was so just like, what's going on? I was in jail for 4 days, and of course it was like a 3-day weekend or something like that. So I kicked, and when I went to the court, they just released me. But for whatever reason, I was like, okay, I should maybe start getting my act together. And had gotten on Suboxone and moved into a guy who was in the program, and for the first time I had like a little bit of willingness. I'm like, maybe I should try this.
Okay.
And see if it's going to work for me. And I didn't use hard drugs. In my mind, I was like, it's okay to drink and smoke weed, and I'm still going to get involved in the 12-step program and do it this way and see if it works. And it lasted like a year and a half. But
Did you take time at meetings?
I never even took tokens.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I was just kind of on the peripherals of the program.
Good that you weren't taking like dirty tokens or whatever.
I wasn't taking dirty tokens. I'd go to a meeting with my dad once a week.
Okay.
Actually, I went on a couple AA retreats. This is the only time I was ever involved in AA.
Yeah.
Is when I was smoking weed and drinking and on Suboxone, and I would go around with my dad, which I know some of these guys still too. And it's interesting to see how years ago when I was dirty in the program, but now that I'm clean, I still have relationships with some of those guys, which is cool. Like I had gotten in a relationship with this girl who was just as troubled as I, right? And we both started using together.
Heroin.
She was a tweaker and I was a heroin addict.
Oh, gosh.
Quite the odd.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
She used to.
In a way that's better though, because she's not going to steal your wake up.
She would take it though. She would take my Xanax and my dope because she did.
She would trade it?
She would just steal it and do God knows with what because she hated heroin and Xanax so much. Okay. So that became like this constant battle. And then in order to survive, that's when we started doing like fraud and like stuff like that. And that was the first time that I ever got arrested is in 2015 or 2016 when I was 30. And that's like when the disease took on that whole new progression of being a felon.
That's when the first time you got arrested, not counting the DUI.
Not counting the drunken public or the DUI.
We're like the same person. I got arrested for DUI also, and I never counted it. When I went to Choices the first time, I was like, no, I've never been arrested. I would say that all the time, but for a DUI, but I just didn't count it.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? But it's totally an arrest.
It's an arrest.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And then the warrant put me back in jail. You know what I mean? Like that all had happened. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And I would tell people like, no, I've never been arrested. You know, I only smoke and I've never been arrested. And then obviously all of that changed afterwards. But so how did you meet her, first of all? And then what was the fraud that you guys were doing?
She was a friend of a friend.
Okay.
So a guy that I was getting high with, it was his ex-girlfriend. We were together one day and she just needed a ride or something. I don't know. And then we just started talking. Okay. I think actually what attracted me to her is because she had just gotten she was in the feds. So she had done 2 years in the feds and just gone out and was kind of like telling me like, I'm trying to do the program and do my shit. And I was like, oh, cool. That's kind of what I'm doing too.
Okay.
And we started talking. And as soon as we got together though, it was like, well.
Started using.
Yeah.
What fraud did you guys start doing?
Credit card fraud.
Okay. That's one of the things I didn't really do. What would you like? How would you get people's numbers and put them like,
or go on the black web and create numbers or steal people's information. She was kind of like, I have to admit, she was more of the mastermind. I would be more of like, I'm going to go in and just steal purses and do that. And she would kind of take hold of the whole credit card thing and actually be able to make them work.
Okay. And then you get arrested for that.
At some point? I had like all sorts of credit cards on me, people's identifications.
Okay. How did you get arrested?
I was coming out of the hotel room and we were fighting the night before. So the sheriffs were called, and as I was walking out of the hotel room to the car to do whatever, they came up on me and arrested me.
Okay.
So
what hotel?
It used to be a Motel 6 on Mar Vista. In Vista, right off the exit.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
That's the first time I was arrested.
Okay.
Was there.
And you had so they arrested you for what are the charges? Like
fraud, identity theft.
Right. Okay.
One of the people that we had stolen a bunch of money from had figured it out.
Oh.
She had filed talked to a detective or whatever, and so there was an ongoing investigation.
Okay.
And when I got caught with some of her stuff, I got charged.
Okay.
The fraud and identity theft
and you went to actual jail for a minute, or what?
I did 6 months.
Oh wow.
That was the first time, and had to get clean, but it was immediately upon release. I was just there was no structure or anything like that. The whole time I was in for the 6 months, all I wanted to do was get high. I got sentenced and was released and had nothing, so I was immediately on the streets.
Right.
And the first thing I did was went to SOAP.
Okay, the methadone clinic.
Yeah, I think somebody let me smoke some dope so I could test dirty, so I could go to SOAP, and I got on SOAP, and then I was just homeless for a month.
Okay.
Right next in Tri-City.
Yeah.
And it sucks being homeless out there. It's fucking hard to move around.
Totally does. Yeah, it's really hard to move around. I swear, I told people before, the reason I got sober in the end is because I was so tired of being homeless. I would rather have gone to jail by the end than be homeless. I was so tired being homeless in North County. You're just walking everywhere. You're just walking everywhere.
It's the worst.
It's crazy.
I did that. No fun. It takes a lot of work.
And it does get cold here at night. I know nobody would believe us probably, but it would be cold.
It gets cold anywhere at night when you're homeless. Man, I can remember some nights in downtown San Diego just being so
cold.
Cold to the bone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or like experiencing like real hunger too. Oh my God.
Yes.
So that was the first couple times I was homeless. It was like getting released from jail, and they weren't sending me a program at this point. And I was just on probation. The only thing I thought of when I was in jail was getting high. It's like, dude, the tedium and the isolation of being in a county jail cell, it's not going to help you.
Right.
And besides, lose my mind a little bit and just think about getting high.
Totally.
Man,
yeah.
Psychosis that you go through, like I would be strung out, get arrested, because I was a felon at this point. I was on the streets. I would never check in.
Right.
And so I immediately have warrants for me. Right. And then I spent this like 2.5-year loop of violating, doing another 3 months, getting out, being homeless, getting a little strung out again, violating, going back in, losing my mind in a prison cell for a week or two, thinking that the inmates above me are talking me through the freaking intercoms or
that would happen while you were like detoxing.
Oh, yeah, man. I've never had like a psychosis while I was actively using.
Oh.
My psychosis always occurs when I am kicking.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Were you a fourth waiver?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No one else besides us knows what that is, by the way.
Yeah.
I thought everybody had heard of a fourth waiver. All of my listeners, I think it's just a California thing, and it might even be a San Diego thing. I was just saying like fourth waiver this, fourth waiver that, the first several episodes, and then listeners started writing in like, what are you even saying? And I'm like, oh, you waive your
Fourth Amendment.
You waive your Fourth Amendment right. And I had a couple of people be like, wow, that's really serious. And I'm like, I know.
They could hold you for 72 hours.
Yeah, everybody out here is a fourth waiver. It's just like a thing that happens when you're on drugs. And the reason that matters is because once the cops know you, which they do, they'll see you walking down the street. And if they got time, they'll be like, there's Gunnar.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Gunnar, give me your backpack. And then you're done.
You're done.
You know, and that's what happens. And that's what would happen to me and my ex, too. They would see us and be like, Janine and Evan, turn around. We go through your stuff. And we just go to jail. You know, because you're fourth waiver and they can search you at any given time, you know. So 2 years of getting arrested, going to jail, getting out, homeless. And then what changes that?
I was finally just offered a program. I can remember, one time I did 3 months in county jail. I get released that night and I was still getting prescriptions of Xanax. So as I'm walking or getting my property back, they give me a bottle of Xanax, right?
It was in your property?
It was in my property. So, and I did not know. So I'm like, fuck yeah. My dad's coming to pick me up. I think he had arranged too. He's like had a friend that was in the program that was willing to let me stay on the couch if I would start getting my shit together. And of course, in jail, I'm making all these promises like I'm going to go to programs and get a job. I'm going to do this right this time. I take Xanax bars as I'm walking up the ramp in the Vista. My dad takes me to Denny's. By the time we were done with breakfast, he was like, what the fuck are you on? What is wrong with you? You just spent 3 months in jail. How are you so loaded right now? He drops me off on the corner of the Denny's by the drug court, MHS, over off Melrose and whatever. And literally, I black out. I don't remember anything. I am arrested not even 24 hours later at a church because I tried to sleep inside the church. And then I get sent back right to the pod that I was released from 23 hours prior. So all the guys were just like, what the hell? And so that is when I was like, okay, maybe I should ask for a program.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my entire
And this is like, it was so wild.
You're like, wait a minute. I picked you up at the door of jail. Yeah. How are you already high?
How are you so high right now?
Oh my God.
That's just...
You went right back to the same pod.
And went to the same pod.
Oh
I don't even think
God.
they made me go through booking, I feel like. The
God.
sheriffs are just like, oh, like, Gunnar, dude. Like, what is going on? They're like, you're in here for months at a time and you get clean. You seem like such a like thoughtful, good dude. Like, what are you doing with your life? That was one thing I had. I wish I could remember the sheriff's name. So he was kind of compassionate towards me. He was like, maybe you should try something.
Some of them would do that. They would do that with me too.
Cool.
I had a bail agent, a bail guy that really liked me from Wizard Bail Bonds. And he bailed me out, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And on the way driving me wherever, he would give me like a pep talk and be like, you got to get rid of that guy. Because he hated my fucking boyfriend. Everybody hated my boyfriend. He'd be like, you got to get rid of that guy. And he like really cared about me. But when I got a year I went and told him at the bail office, like at Wizard.
Nice.
Yeah. But sometimes they do that. Sometimes the cops are like encouraging you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. There's a Oceanside PD. He's retired now. I just talked to the other day, and he was super stoked. He's like,
really?
yeah.
Oh, that's
So he was always
cool.
super encouraging.
Yeah.
Supportive, which
Yeah.
is cool. So
Yeah.
it was cool to see him and let him know that I'm
Yeah.
doing well. Yeah, so that last time in county, I reached out for help.
Okay. After you were back in 23 hours.
23, I think maybe even less. I picked up a felony charge for vandalism in that church that I fell asleep at. And so I did another 3 months, and then I asked for help, and they offered me drug court.
Okay.
And so I was like, I needed it.
Yeah.
After those couple of years of in and out, the homelessness in North County, I needed that change. And so Judy Johnson came and did my evaluation in county jail, and I sat there, and I was released to drug court in 2017. That's when I went to R&R.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's so funny.
May of 2017 is when I went to Doc Rascal's house. that
place is crazy, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Oh.
But that was the place I got sober the last time. You know, I was there for a year. Like, I was able to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just kind of about the decision that you make
100%.
for yourself, you know, and it was cheap. And like, there's value in that. You know what I mean? It was $400 a month or something. And other sober livings are like $1,000. My husband relapsed a few years ago, and he goes to like the bougie places. And his sober living that we paid for was $1,200 a month. And I was like, you should go to Doc's. He's like, I'm not going to Doc's.
It's crazy how expensive it is.
I know, isn't that insane?
Still like $450.
It is. It's like 6 or 5. Yeah, it's gone up a little bit, but like that matters because in my world, I'm not paying. Where am I going to get $1,200?
Yeah.
If I had $1,200, well, I'd still use, I guess. You know what I mean? But if I had $1,200, I'd move into an apartment. You know, like that was not ever my story. You know. So do you complete drug court?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, you did. You graduated.
I relapsed a couple times in drug court.
Okay.
But I completed drug court.
Okay.
Drug court was that first thing that it really gave me the structure. I needed that structure. I needed someone to tell me what to do every day. It was like good exposure. I needed that exposure again. Mm-hmm. So I started drug court, in May of 2017. I graduated December 2019.
Okay. So you graduated.
I graduated drug court. I started working construction and was doing well, had some cars again and was doing all right. I mean, the whole time I was in drug court, we were sneaking the program and doing what we wanted to do, but
having somebody call your steps in. Yeah. Did you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had somebody call my steps in. We were skirting the drug test by taking kratom. We're all taking kratom.
Oh, instead of drugs. It's
I relapsed on heroin 2 times.
Right. Okay.
Each time I would go in and do a month-long sanction.
I wonder if they're testing for kratom now.
They do.
I bet they do.
When I was in drug court in 2018, they started testing.
Oh, they started?
Kratom. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever get strung out on kratom, or you just do it here and there?
I did it every single day, so I guess I was strung out. Yeah.
Did you feel sick when you stopped?
Oh no, I didn't. So the whole time I was in drug court, I always wanted to get high, right? I always had this idea that if I had a good job, if I had a girlfriend, if I had cars and stuff and was just kind of around the 12-step program, I would successfully be able to use again. And I think a lot of addicts have that same mindset.
For sure.
They're not just totally willing to give everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And I never was willing to do that. I like to get high. And so the moment I had I was discharged from probation and did my last court date, I went from my last court date over to my buddy's house to smoked out.
Heroin.
Smoked crystal, and then the next day I was shooting heroin up.
Wow.
And taking Xanax and lost everything, you know.
Did you go to the drug court graduation?
Yeah, the drug court graduation was like a month before my actual last court date, before everything was dismissed. I had like all my felonies dismissed. I was no longer a fourth waiver. I wasn't on probation. I had paid off all my debt. I had paid off all the restitution I owed. I was like not a felon, not on probation. I had a good job. I had a place to stay. I had cars. I'm like, this is it. I can now, you know, like I've kind of gotten over this whole thing that happened in my early 20s with my family. Like this is it. I'm ready to successfully get high again. Right. And holy smokes, the wheels come off so quick.
Really?
And the progression was so gnarly this time, especially because it's like 2019, 2020 is when fentanyl really started hitting here. And man, it just was crazy how everything just fell apart so quickly.
Did you consciously switch to fentanyl, or you just had to? 'Cause that's all that was around.
Because that's what was
Okay.
all around.
Okay.
It's just easier to get at some point.
How soon is it before you say the wheels fell off really quickly from you smoking meth at the guy's house, shooting heroin the next day? When are you losing your job?
So within 4 months, I had totaled one car. So I was over at that guy's house and I took a bunch of Xanax and he's telling me you shouldn't drive. I get in my car like 2:30 in the morning and I run head on into a piling on the 78 just before the Family Fun Center or whatever it's called. What's it called now? Boomers?
Boomers.
Yeah, totally in my car at 2:30 in the morning. It was random too because there was this tow truck guy right behind me. I totaled my car. It's in the middle of the freeway. I get out and this tow truck guy's yelling at me. He's like, get out of the road, get out of the road. And I'm just super loaded. And I'm like, no, like I had a bunch of drugs and money in my car and I went to go grab it. And as soon as I run around the freeway, a big Escalade going like 75 miles an hour just smashes into the back of my car. And the guy is like, don't worry, I just called the police. I'm just like, what? Boink, boink, boink. I hop the fence and I run and I'm hiding in bushes for like 12 hours while they search all around. And I ended up going back to that buddy's house and let him know what's going on. The girl I was with at the time was in the program. She's wigging out because all she knows is that the California Highway Patrol has just called her and is like sending her pictures as this car just totaled and like your boyfriend's missing.
Oh.
My buddies, and I had no phone. I ended up leaving my phone in the car. The tow truck driver stole it. So when that happened, like everything
The tow truck guy stole it?
Yeah, he took everything. I thought I had grabbed like my money and the dope, and I didn't. I actually left it in there, and all that was gone.
Oh, the cops didn't find it though?
No, the tow truck driver stole it all.
So was that almost kind of a good thing because then you didn't get the charge, or it didn't matter because it was a hit and run?
Yeah,
or you,
hit and run.
Because you took off.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on. Hold on. So for one thing, you would have died 5 seconds later because the Escalade smashed into the car. So you almost died. But then also the guy said, don't worry, I've called the police.
I just dipped. I was like, whoa, boom, 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 gone. And it was funny, like 2 days later, the highway patrol, they're like, you need to come in and turn yourself in. And I was like, oh, I didn't want to do it. But my girlfriend at the time was like, you need to go turn yourself in.
Right.
And I get there and the highway patrol is like, you know what? I can't prove that you're high. I can't prove that you're drunk. But you are going to get a misdemeanor hit and run. And I just had to sign a ticket. Now it's good. And pay a little fee.
Oh my gosh.
I would have totally gotten a DUI.
Yeah, totally. And a felony potentially if the people were hurt in the Escalade. Yeah. You know, felony DUI. Damn.
So I took off, and that's when.
So wait, when you were hiding in the bushes, you could see them?
Oh yeah.
What were they doing?
They were going circles all around. I was up on an easement behind that like granite supply place, and so they never found me. And I waited until about 7 or 8 the next morning, and then I walked back to my buddy's house and continued to get high.
Okay.
I think it was 24 hours after that is when I was living right here off of Laguna actually at the time. And the apartment's on the corner and I went back. And
I lived there. There's a pool in the middle?
Yeah, the pool in the middle one. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of those apartments?
They're kind of nice, right?
They're nice. It was nice.
Yeah, right when you turn at Laguna and State. Right there. Yeah.
There.
Oh, that's so crazy. Yeah, I lived there too. Okay, so what happened?
Well, clearly my girlfriend was upset, right? And so that's when things like I had a truck still, but things just started to fall apart. Like,
were you living with her?
I was living with her, and it actually just scared her to death. She was trying to like get me back in the treatment, and I just wasn't having any part of it. Yeah. I was soon just like off getting high all the time. And we moved out of that apartment and found a room to rent because I was just so out of control. I was showing up to work loaded, and they were giving me time after time. I was working on base at a military base called Yarmo up above Bakersfield, or Barstow. Sorry, Barstow. This is when I got fired from that job. Is I showed up to the base high on Xanax and strung out.
Moved to Barstow at some point?
No, I would just drive up there. I would drive up there for 4 or 5 days at a time and come back.
Oh, okay.
And so everybody clearly knew I was strung out, but that was the last straw. When military police escort you off a military base, it doesn't look good for the company, and they're like, okay, you're done.
Damn.
You know. And at this point, my girlfriend and I had put her through so much trauma. We started living out of hotel rooms. This is right when COVID starts hitting and fentanyl starts hitting. And I start ODing hardcore. Her mom was a nurse, and she like actively went out and learned how to get Narcan, draw it, and shoot it up. And we were in a hotel room. And at this point in our relationship, she was just like doing damage control. Just like, you could get high, just make sure that you don't leave the hotel room. Please don't shoot up fentanyl or shoot heroin. It's okay if you smoke it. And she's clean the whole time.
Wow. Is she still clean to this day?
I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a couple of years.
Okay. I wonder if I know her. The same thing. I bet I've only been to maybe 20 AA meetings in my whole life. Other than that, it's been NA and HA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not weird. Yeah.
That makes sense. I relate more to the people in NA.
Yeah, me too.
Things are falling apart. She learns how to shoot Narcan. We're in a hotel room with a poinsettia, like the Comfort Inn or whatever, because we were living in hotel rooms. And I had gotten some fentanyl and some needles, and she asked me not to shoot up. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to shoot up. I go in the bathroom, I immediately shoot up. I wake up to paramedics all around me and her crying in the corner, not understanding what had happened. I had OD'd, fell over, and she had saved my life. By having that Narcan and like preparing herself for this event, it saved my life. But the trauma for her was too much. Okay. And me just being an absolute tornado when it came to using no regard for herself or for me, she finally was just done. She took off.
How long were you guys together?
Like a year and a half.
Okay.
Not super long.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
And so,
because Narcan wasn't readily available at that time,
in
right?
The nasal spray at that time. It had to be IM, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I had lost my job. The girlfriend left. I had this little truck, and I just started going around in my truck, stealing stuff, and doing that whole deal. Going to stay in casinos, and living out of my truck, smoking fentanyl, and living out of my storage unit. Things just slowly started really falling apart.
You'd spend the night in the storage unit?
Yeah.
How do you get away with that?
I know. It's a ratty storage unit off Olive Drive in Vista. I don't think the lady really...
Okay.
You know what I mean? I
just go in there and shut it from the inside?
Yeah. Shut from the... And I would like dummy lock it, you know, so it looked like a lock was on there.
How do you do that?
Instead of latching it with the lock on, I would just lock the lock and then I latch it where it kind of looked like it was.
Okay.
So if you're just driving by, it looks like it's locked.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What kind of stuff were you stealing?
I would steal from storage units. So like guitars, tools. I started selling all my tools because I wasn't working in construction anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Anything to maintain my habit.
Yeah. Is this when you end up downtown and you come across Steve?
No, this isn't. So that was 2 years prior. I spent a couple of years up here in my truck selling stuff off, smoking fentanyl. What had happened was in 2019, I had like lost my truck. And then once again, I was strung out and homeless out here in Carlsbad, Oceanside. My sister lives in Joshua Tree and she reached out to me and was like, come out here and get clean, you know. So I went out to Joshua Tree, stopped smoking fentanyl for a couple months and lived out in Joshua Tree.
Okay.
I got on Suboxone and was doing all right. But immediately I came out here, ran into an old connect and started using again.
Okay.
Like I've had series of overdoses, but one of them that was gnarly is I was out in a park in San Marcos and I overdosed in a bathroom and a sheriff happens to find me and I'm like hunched over like that. And he wakes me up and I had gotten compartment syndrome in this arm.
Is that what that scar is?
Yeah.
What is that? What's compartment syndrome?
Well, all the blood was flowing into my arm, but it wasn't flowing out. So like all the muscles get super like swelled up from blood.
Okay.
And then they start compressing the capillaries and the nerves to kill the nerves in your arm. So they do a fasciotomy and they cut your arm.
Okay.
To relieve the swelling.
Okay.
Like that. And so I was in Palomar Hospital. And this is how I got to downtown. That's where I'm leaving with this. I overdosed. The cop gets me. I'm in Palomar Hospital. I had like 8 surgeries to save this arm.
Wow.
And that's when and during all this, I'm in like a gnarly psychosis too. I don't know if I mentioned when I was sharing you. It's like, I'm in the like tubes in my arm. My arm's the size of my leg. I might lose it. And this whole time I'm thinking that Rob Diedrich's in the top story of Palomar Hospital trying to hire me for ridiculousness.
Oh my God.
So, and I'm like trying to escape the ICU unit, like getting these tubes and the little, it was called a medvac. So it's sucking all the fluid out of my arm. And I like try to grab it and hide it under my gown and like sneak out of the ICU to go upstairs.
Because you needed to work for Rob Diedrich?
I needed to work for Rob Diedrich.
Oh.
It was so bizarre. And the those poor nurses, man, they were so kind and nice to me. And I am just like, would
you tell people, no, you don't understand, I need to go work for Rob Diedrich?
Deadpan. 100%. Like, you don't understand. I need this job. I need this money. Rob DJ wants, I don't even know what he wanted to hire me for. But man, I was so convinced of that. Psychosis, when you're in it, it feels so real.
Totally.
You think it is so real.
I didn't deal with a ton of that, but Skylar did. And it was so crazy. And it lasted into his sobriety for like 6 months, really bad. Like, I don't think I've ever shared this, but our dog got really sick. He had a bad reaction to a shot because they gave him a bunch of vaccines in one day. And his face swelled up and I had to rush him back to the vet. And Skylar, who had like 4 months or something, was like, hey, what was your ex's name again? The one that I used with. And I said, Evan. And he said, what does he look like? And I was like, why? And he said, I think I saw him like following me. I think he and the vet poisoned Tank at 4 months. Yeah. And he was dead serious. And of course, like, I love him and I felt so bad, but I'm also like, oh my God, like, and I'm like, no, I really don't think that happened. You know what I mean? Like he's on the run from California still. Like, that's not what happened. I think he just but it was real at 4 months. And he still had crazy conspiracies like that into sobriety, 5-6 months sober. It was wild.
How do you navigate stuff like that too?
I mean, I would just try to because if I started saying you're imagining
discredit it,
he would get mad at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be like, well, this is why I don't tell you things. And so I would kind of have to navigate it. Like, that's a good question, by like kind of taking it seriously, pretending to take it seriously, but doing my best to divert his attention, and then eventually we actually took him to a doctor because he needed to get a medication. It was that bad. Like, I finally took him in after that incident. I was like, all right, this can't go on. He's been sober for like a long time. So we finally went and saw his doctor and he said, yeah, I'm just really like, I forget how he described it, but the doctor was like, you mean you're worried like about the state of the world, and the thing had just happened in Israel, the October 7th thing. Okay, yeah. And he was like what happened in Israel, that kind of stuff, is that like upsetting you? And Skylar's like, I mean, yeah, I don't like that happened. And I was like, no. What we mean is he thinks the CIA followed us here. And Dr. Sexton was like, oh, is that what you think? And Skylar was like, yeah, I think so. And he was like, okay.
Okay.
So then, and he's totally fine now. Like, he healed, but it was wild how long it lasted, and dealing with it was like really difficult, So yeah.
It's crazy what drugs do to our brains.
I know.
And how it manifests in all sorts of different ways.
I know.
And it takes years for like that neuroplasticity to redevelop,
right,
and start building those connect those healthy ways again.
I know, it's crazy.
It's scary.
So do you at some point realize he's not trying to hire you, or like what changes?
I mean, I think it was a simple fact that I was in the ICU and I was having constant surgeries on my arm. It was a very gradual thing. I think I just started watching TV more. I'm not really sure. It's a very slow, gradual, like it goes away. And then maybe a week after, and I'm not thinking that anymore, I go, oh, wow, that was really out there.
Right.
But I really believed it.
Right. Yeah.
And this was like not the first time I had gone through psychosis. I knew like a week after, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm coming out of it. I'm fine. Like the first time I ever experienced like gnarly psychosis was that first time I did a little bit of time in county jail.
Oh, okay.
And like I'm in the cell and I was convinced that I was in the basement. I was convinced that Bringle Terrace Park had a basement and I was somehow in it, and that the guards just like kept missing my cell to let me out. And I kept letting them know, like, dude, like I'm supposed to leave. I'm not supposed to be here. Like, how come you're not opening the doors to let me out? Why am I in the park? I was so confused. I'm like, why am I in the park?
Would they answer you?
Yeah, they would kind of fuck with me. Yeah, that was the first time I had gone through psychosis, and it was like a couple months after I was released where I realized, I was like, oh shit, okay, that's what psychosis is. Yeah, it was a gradual thing. What kind of hit me more was the fact that I had 8 surgeries on my arm, and it was the last surgery where the surgeon was like, if their swelling doesn't go down and you don't regain any type of feeling or movement in your right arm, we're gonna have to cut your arm off. And I was like, holy shit. And that was the first time. And at this point I had like 27 days in the hospital, which means I had like kicked everything, you know what I mean? And it was like, I do everything with my right arm. My right arm this is like how I operate.
You're right.
Yeah, right-handed. So it kind of hit me. Thank God that last surgery, the swelling started going down, and I finally gained some movement and feeling back in my arm, and it was just like, whoa. And I had come out of the psychosis, and I asked again for help. I'm like, I can't go back on the streets here. I need to leave. I had asked to leave again. The social worker was like, well, there's no, like, the places I knew off the top of my head, like Casa or Freedom Ranch or they were all full. And they're like, well, we could send you to Father Joe's village downtown. And I didn't know what that was. I thought it was a treatment facility downtown. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go downtown. That's fine with me. Well, it was a homeless shelter.
Oh, okay. It's not treatment.
No, it's not treatment. It was a homeless shelter on 15th and Imperial in downtown June of 2021, when it's like the height of the fentanyl epidemic.
Oh my God.
COVID's still happening. You were allowed to have tents out, like 16th Imperial was just big long lines of tents and everybody walking around like a zombie. Everybody was strung out.
Oh my God.
So I get released down there, and mind you, I have like 75 staples in my arm. I have nobody in the world but myself. My family is very distant at this point. I don't really have any close friends or anyone that cares about me. And I get downtown, have like a little shred of hope, you know what I mean? And immediately that is just thrown out the door when I get to this treatment or homeless shelter. And it was just like, whoa, this is wild. This is crazy.
Did you even stay in the shelter, or did you
I
leave?
lasted like a week and a half.
Okay.
Lasted a week.
And they would make you like leave during the day to get a job, or?
No, they didn't.
Oh.
I was there because of my arm.
Oh,
so I
okay.
had a medical thing, and like they were like, you have a couple of months to figure it out. But they had a clinic right next door, and I immediately went down there and got on Suboxone.
Okay.
And
even though you had kicked everything?
Even though, well, I got Suboxone, so I knew I could barter it for dope.
Oh, okay.
And so that's immediately what I did.
Okay. And that's when you ran into Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, who you guys have seen me interview, my good friend Steve. Yeah. So when you saw him, did you recognize him from Docs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did he remember you?
Yeah. Steve remembered me.
What's up? And he was living out there in a tent, right?
Steve was on a tent. Yeah, he was in a tent. He was on the streets just like me. I had already been on the streets of downtown San Diego for about a year.
Oh.
Okay, I think I ran into Steve. It was probably like spring of 2022. I had seen him.
So you stayed there for a long time.
Yeah, I was homeless downtown for a little more than 2 years.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
how did you like live?
It's being homeless in downtown. This is a really scary thing. I could have just kept on going. I could have kept going until I overdosed, until someone killed me, or until I landed in jail for a very long time.
Why?
Because you can maneuver, like the trolley system. There's a lot more, like the population's a lot bigger.
Right.
There's just greater resources for someone down there, especially too when you're a dopian like me and you could go across the border, you can steal stuff, get dope in Mexico. There's a population of people down there doing the same thing.
Okay.
It became a lot easier to just go, and you get lost, and then before you know it, a few years is gone. And maybe once every couple months I would stop and be like, holy shit, what is going on? What am I doing? You don't realize how much time starts passing and passing. But back to Steve, like I had been down for like probably a year at that point, and I'd seen him around. I'm like, that's fucking Steve. Like I knew. And of course, like I lived at Docs for like 3 or 4 months before I had relapsed there, and Steve kicked me out.
Yeah.
He immediately knew who I was.
That's so funny that he recognized you immediately. And then you guys actually started like doing stuff together?
We started. So, you know the old Geos, the Geo Metros, or remember that car behind Geo?
Car?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had stolen a Geo in Spring Valley. Because I would take the trolley all around. We would steal from department stores. I'm coming out of a department store, and there's a Geo Metro there. And I just had like a house key on me, and the window was open. I just hopped in to see if it worked, and it started right up.
The house key just turned it on?
I just immediately went to 14th and Island in downtown, or Imperial. Somewhere, it was right where the Petco Park parking lot is by the 12th and Imperial. Anyways, I'm down there, and Steve's there.
Oh my
And at this point, we had talked, we had gotten to like, hey, what's up, bud? And Steve was hanging out with the crowd that was, they were selling dope and smoking crack. I was totally all about it. Like, let's do it. But me and Steve, he needed to get somewhere. I'm like, well, hop in, bud. And it was like this 2 or 3 week period where I was driving Steve around in this old like 1996 stolen Geo. We were running around doing dope together.
Oh my God.
But then there was like that whole period where I would see Steve all the time.
Yeah. Oh,
You know, there was a
crazy.
solid few weeks where me and Steve were
like kicking it.
thick. Yeah, we were just kicking it, doing our thing together. And then you go your separate ways.
Totally.
And I would always see him around, you know,
Wow.
run into him, we'd kick it, hang out. He'd go get me dope. And I would, you know, just be...
That's hilarious.
We were buddies for a little
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, he's got like 2 years now.
Yeah.
I gave him 2 years at the Bringle Park meeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
At the
a few
top
months
of the
ago.
month?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the Sunday top of the hill
That's
meeting.
good to hear.
I know.
I was thinking about him, and it was probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if Steve's still. I wonder if he's down there still.
Yeah.
Steve's a smart dude, and like I knew
Very.
that he was like
Very smart.
struggling with it, just like how we
Yeah.
all do when you've been clean and in the rooms, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're like back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, good old Steve. It was wild.
So you're there for 2 years. You come back up.
Mhm.
How does this all finally end? Because what's your current clean date?
I just celebrated 3 years.
Okay.
So my clean date is October 2nd of 2022. What happened is I was going back and forth on the border. I would come up any way I could, and we'd sell it to
Fentanyl.
bodegas or yeah.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't sell fentanyl.
Oh.
Steal, like, I think at the end what we were doing is I was going into Targets and taking as much stuff as I could and just running.
Just running.
Target.
Okay.
You know, they didn't follow you, they didn't do anything. I just run to a trolley station, immediately go down to the border and sell Levi's and cheese and pistachios to people going back into Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And then every once in a while, if we could, we'd break into storage units and then get e-bikes and stuff like that and
Okay.
go into Mexico and sell them. That's how I was
Okay.
supporting my habit. I decided that I was going to take the coaster back up to Encinitas and try to get some e-bikes from all the little groms that surf D Street because they never lock them up. I don't know why that had popped in my head, but I was like, this is what we're going to do. Yeah, I took the coaster back up. I had got off the coaster at D Street. I immediately nodded out. And like being homeless downtown, there's so many times everything is just stolen from me because I'm just zonked out. So I had gotten accustomed to like putting my bag tight against my body with all my drugs right on my chest like that, right in front of me. So it's harder to take my stuff. But at the same time, if a cop asks you questions, it's like, well,
right
what
there.
do you got there? And that's what happened to me.
Okay.
Sheriff woke me up and was like, hey, what's going on? I was like, shoot, okay. I knew I was going to get in trouble right there. Sheriff wakes me up, asks me what I'm doing. I just tell him I'm from here. I'm going back up to Oceanside, and he asks to look inside and finds all my drugs. Well, at this time, what had been going on is I had been giving my brother's information out. Like, my brother had never been arrested. It happened to me at least 3 or 4 times when I was downtown San Diego. I'd give my brother's name, his date of birth, and they look him up and nothing would happen. I would get like they would write a trolley ticket to my brother's name, or he'd get a misdemeanor possession in my brother's name, and I'd be set free. A couple of years ago too, my brother had about a year clean, and my brother like started talking to me again, which is cool. My brother was like, yeah, it's crazy. I've been going through this legal stuff. He's like, I have all these tickets from downtown San Diego, and I have like possession tickets, and I've never even been down there. I'm like, oh,
Wait, he didn't know you had been doing
he
it?
didn't know.
Oh my
It
God.
was
Did you
just-
tell him? Did you admit it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Was
he so pissed?
Yeah, he wasn't happy, but
Are you able to clear that up though? Can you go say that was me, or how does that get clear for him? Or he just has a record now?
there's all sorts of like court proceedings that have to take place.
Gunnar, oh my God.
Because I would get another charge. What ended up happening is that I just paid everything off.
Okay.
Did
All
it
right.
for him. So
Okay. That's good. That's a
Yeah.
decent amends. That's all you could do.
that's all I could do. I regret it, But so the sheriff, I give him my brother's information again, and he types in the info, and I'm just waiting to get a ticket and be on my way again. Lo and behold, my brother, like not even a week prior, gets his first DUI. And so the sheriff database has his mugshot now. So he types in info. My brother's like on the mugshot. It was funny because I could see it through the back of the cop car. My brother has super long hair at the time and like a beard, and he's like all like his hair's everywhere. And the sheriff looks at me, he's like, this sure doesn't look like you.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? There was something that happened in that moment where I'm like, oh my God, like this is it. Like I'm going to jail. I think I had a commercial burglary warrant out, right? So I had a felony warrant, and I knew I was going to jail for at least like 3 months, minimum 3 months. And there was something that I just finally was like, I'm done. I'm fucking done with this.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. I really can't. It was like that lived experience up until that point is what I finally needed to get clean.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
the sheriff, he was kind of nice to me. You know, he had a little bit of compassion, and that was something I hadn't experienced for a while.
Yeah.
Like being a homeless junkie in downtown San Diego, you are dehumanized.
Yeah.
People see right through you. They're mean. Like, you are not looked upon as like a normal person, you know?
You know what? That's interesting, because I remember you saying when you led, it's hard to be homeless up here. And I've only been homeless up here. And I always felt like I wasn't like really a homeless person, because I was never homeless in the city. But it's interesting that like it was almost easier down there. Like, it was very difficult up here to get around, do hustles, do anything. If you don't have a car or a phone, you can't do shit up here. But I can see how down there, like, it's worse in that it's grimier and grittier, but it's more sustainable over a long period of time.
Totally sustainable.
That's
I went years
crazy.
and didn't even realize it had been that long.
Wow. So wait, were you ever aware that it was Christmas or your birthday?
I can remember one Christmas, and I was super bummed out because everything was fucking closed, and I couldn't like do my little hustle to get stuff. Birthdays I'd forget about. Thanksgiving was always very apparent because people would be coming down and giving us stuff.
Okay.
You know, little
And
care
that's
packages.
how you would know.
Like, oh,
it was like
Thanksgiving.
November.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. We're getting a care package. So.
But my point being that the sheriff up here, they're less desensitized to it. They see a lot of it, but not as much as San Diego PD, right? So maybe that was partially why he was being compassionate with you.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
So what did you do? You just said, fine, fuck it, that's me?
Yeah. Oh, I had to give him my name. And then as soon as I gave him my information, he's like, you have a warrant out. And so now it's like, okay. And part of me was relieved.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to be in Vista Jail, which I was very familiar with. I knew exactly what my routine was going to be like. And for the first time, I wasn't worried about kicking. I was like just ready to do it. I was just tired, I guess.
Yeah. They give you Librium? Do they still do that?
Dude, the freaking 20, 30 times I got in Vista Jail and kicked, I would just get maybe a little bit of Librium. There's no, like, anything to help you. I get in there, they give me, like, a 5-day dose of Valium. Oh. They give me a 6 or 7 day taper of Suboxone. It was like a godsend.
That's like a great detox.
Yeah, it was so painless.
Wow.
It was crazy.
When I went, they gave me Librium, but it was a decent amount. It was like 3 days. For me, anyways. And I have zero benzo tolerance. So for me, it would like, you know, by the time I was down at Las Colinas, day 3, day 4, I'm waking up. Right. And I'm like kind of through it. You know what I mean? But no Valium or Suboxone or anything.
It was so painless.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there was some discomfort afterwards for a little bit. Like, I was kind of able to sleep. I was kind of able to eat.
But they give you the option to stay on Suboxone now too, right?
Yeah, I think you could get on maintenance.
But you didn't want to?
I didn't.
Okay.
There was just something that was like, was just done with it all.
Wow. So how long do you do?
I was arrested October 1st. I was released to crash the day before Thanksgiving of that year.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And you go to crash, which is a really intense behavior modification program, right? It's like the strictest one in San Diego. What was your experience like at crash? Because now you've been clean ever since.
Yeah, crash is
crazy.
Great. Yeah. Crash is what I needed. I needed that structure and I needed that discipline. The people that were running the facility, it was exactly what I needed at the time. I needed a hard ass dude telling me like, you need to stop, you know, being such a selfish, self-centered person and look at what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And for the first time, it was like, wow, okay, I can no longer like blame my parents or my early 20s for what was going on. It was just like a big eye opener. And like I said, like the trauma that I had gone through on the streets of San Diego kind of really was like, whoa, this is the life I'm going to lead. Right. You know?
Did you like get in fights and stuff down there? Like, was there like physical violence that you witnessed when you were downtown?
Yeah, I had seen my buddy get beaten up by chain. I had been beaten up at least 3 or 4 times. I was jumped. I think I was jumped like 3 times. Literally saw a dude beat with the chain right in front of my face. The amount of people I've seen just overdose and die on the streets with people just kind of like, this is the life we lead, you know?
Like, while you're sitting there, somebody will die on the ground?
Yeah, people overdose. Some of them die. Some of them get help.
Are there a lot of women down there too, homeless?
Oh, they're definitely a minority, but there's plenty of women. Yeah.
Okay. Are they safe? I mean, are they okay? Like, that makes me sad.
Yeah, it's sad because it's an extremely vulnerable population.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
They're preyed upon.
Yeah.
And so there's some that have been down there for a while and have gone through it, but now they hold their own and they, which is super sad.
Yeah, totally. So how long are you at Crash?
I was at Crash for 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at Crash for No, 3 months. So I went to crash the day before Thanksgiving of 2022. I was released February 13th of 2023 and was given $10. And I had my trash bag of clothes, and then I go up to Oceanside, and I had asked to go to Oceanside McAllister outpatient.
Oh, okay.
And like, okay, make it. Like, I was a super crash role model for sure. Like, I got in trouble once for smoking when I wasn't supposed to. Got put on a tool, but I was a good crash person.
What's it called? A tool?
A tool.
What does that mean?
Means like they engross. So I snuck off and I smoked a cigarette when we were at the park, and they had these tools because you have to like work. They call it working a tool. So I was put on like visitor status, which means that I need to I have to write a essay on why like engrossed me smoking a cigarette, why I shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. Like, what's the difference between you sneaking off and smoking a cigarette or going off and getting high? The behavior is sneaky. You're taking shortcuts.
Okay.
So let's look at the behavior, not necessarily the action.
It's actually probably a good idea.
Yeah. Those are the types of things that try to really open my eyes.
Totally.
Wow, it's constantly about me and like how I want to feel.
Yeah.
It was kind of good that happened. But I had, like, when I got released from crash, like I just had this fire in me to come up here and get involved in 12-step again. And
wow. Where did you live when you came up here?
I went into one of Lisa's houses.
Oh, okay. She let you move in with no money down?
No, I was McAllister. So McAllister was funded it for the first 3 months.
Oh, that's right. Because Medi-Cal now will do that, which is great. They didn't do that when I was getting sober. No, That's why I still say Steve saved my life. Steve let me move in just on the couch for $300 a month, which I didn't have. And so I had to pay him back after like 2 weeks. You know, after I got my first check, I paid him some. Like, he let me do that. If he hadn't done that, I had nowhere to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's wild. That's right. Medi-Cal does pay for that now. Okay. So you stayed at Lisa's for 3 months and then just start going to NA?
Yeah, I just got the first day I got back, started going to NA.
And got a sponsor?
Got a sponsor. No, he's still my sponsor.
Really?
Buddies with today, which is rad.
Who's your sponsor?
Nathan Hose.
Okay. I might recognize him if I saw him.
Yeah.
What's your experience with the steps been? Actually doing them now?
Yeah. It's been eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's rough. Have you ever worked all
that? Did you do the NA work?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do it that way. Even though I went to NA, we did AA steps. I don't know why. Now that I think about that, that's kind of... I think it's because my sponsorship tree is so old. They started doing it before the workbook was around. Like, NA was like new when Debbie, who is the grand sponsor, started this like train. So that's probably why we do it. But I've seen that workbook. It's extensive. What I've gathered out of the steps the most is really just how I think, my character defects, and how I act upon them. Yeah.
That was like the biggest insight I had.
Okay, like step 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
6, 7.
Okay.
It was super spiritual to be able to apologize and make like a real amends to people I had harmed.
Yeah.
You know, and for them to be like, dude, like, we love you, we forgive you, just keep on this path. Like, that was super healing and motivational for me to keep going. Steps have allowed me to like, dude, I am so flawed and self-centered and self-seeking constantly still. Mm-hmm. And without the steps, I wouldn't be able to identify these little things.
Yeah.
And I fail all the time, but at least like I have this knowledge of myself and how I operate where I'm kind of able to progress. And sometimes I do really good and sometimes I do really bad.
What does it look like for you if you recognize, okay, this is a character defect coming up for me. This is what I'm going to do different. Like, what's the process?
So I'm super rigid in my routine.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I want to grow as a human and develop stronger, deeper relationships. And one thing I've noticed about myself is I have a ton of relationships since I've gotten in recovery. They're all very surface level. And I've been keeping them surface level because it allows me to do the things that I want to do still.
Totally.
Which is inherently still very self-centered and self-seeking. And so to just get uncomfortable, which is hard for anybody, you know what I mean, I'm finding like through those uncomfortable actions, doing the things I don't necessarily want to do, I've been able to find a little bit of contentment. That's the process, I think, is identifying something that I'm uncomfortable with, that I feel is going to mess with my schedule or something I don't necessarily want to do. Yeah. And then I kind of dive in. And sometimes it hasn't worked and sometimes it has. Recently, I found like I secretary a few NA meetings and I was so resistant. I did not want to do that. I did not want to commit to it because like, well, I might not be able to go do that. I might not be able to go do that. Right. And ever since I dove into that, I've like developed like some of these cool relationships with people I wouldn't necessarily talk to at meetings.
Yeah.
There's a sense of gratitude that started to develop that has been super eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said early on that you still have to work daily at avoiding a tendency towards depression or sadness. What do you do to avoid that now? Like, how do you work through that?
First, I just have to give myself some grace and compassion. The biggest thing is the inner critic, how I talk to myself. I am so ultra critical of all the things that I do and how I do them. I'm constantly either thinking about the past or looking too far into the future and not really ever able to enjoy the here and the now.
Yeah.
So all these things are theoretically like self-evident and should be able to put into place, but they're hard. It's hard. Mm-hmm. So like physical fitness, like I have to like work my body out and do certain things physically or mentally to like keep myself content to some extent. I'm always gonna have a baseline that's fairly low.
Me too.
You know,
low dopamine.
Yeah.
The longer I've been doing the show though and been in recovery, the more I think a lot of that is just chemical with us. Like I always was like this. It just has always taken way more of something for me to be as happy as anybody else. Even if it was like food when I was a kid. It's always been like that. You know what I mean?
Same with me.
Yeah.
It's always been the same with me. Like I just have to hold myself to a higher standard when it comes to making myself happy or being all right when I'm not. I think that's been like one of the biggest things I've learned is like, you know, you're not always going to feel rad. Everything's not always going to be great. There's the times where you just need to accept and understand the ebb and flow of my feelings. And sometimes it's rough. And I do like I've just been kind of in this down state, but it's like keeping the healthy habits that get me out of it. Like the eating right, keep taking care of my body, continuing my meetings, trying to work with other people with the program and like doing the hard work to develop relationships that I want to cultivate. You know?
What do you do for work now?
I work in the Oceanside Harbor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Doing what?
So I work for this little family and they own the fuel dock and they own a commercial fishing company and they have a little fish market in Delhi.
Oh, cool.
And I've been there for almost 3 years now.
Oh, cool.
So it's been cool. They allowed me one of my big goals when I was in Crash is I did like a plan, like, well, what am I going to do when I get out? I need to have purpose. I need to have some sense of like, this is a goal I'm going to strive for. And I wanted to go back to school. And so this place allowed me to like go back to school full time. I graduated last year with a bachelor's in communications from Cal State San Marcos.
So cool.
It was rad.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you want to do with your degree?
Well, I had no idea what I wanted to do, right? So I dropped out of Cal State San Marcos in 2017 when I was strung out. And so it was like this full circle
So you went
thing.
back and
So I
finished.
wanted to go back and finish. I went back and I was like, well, I'm halfway through a communications degree. I don't necessarily know what the fuck a communications degree is going to do or what can I go on. It's very broad and general, soft arts, right? There's no real hard skill here. But I went back and I just put everything into it and I fucking killed it.
Wow.
Like I maintained a 4.0. I rose all my GPA way up and I graduated with honors from Cal State San Marcos.
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
So now this is a year past. I graduated last December. I've had this chance to like, okay, well, what purpose? Like, what am I going to do? And so I've kind of finally come to the decision like, okay, I want to go get a master's degree in public policy and focus on a track of inequality and social policy to try to change how we view homelessness and how we view addiction. And so this is what I've been kind of doing right now. There's like a housing first treatment model and there's a housing first policy and a treatment first model, which are two very different. Like,
yeah, that's totally
ways of
different.
treating people.
Yeah.
So housing first just relies
obviously
on...
treatment first is more beneficial, right?
No, the housing first shows like
okay.
Like when we don't put restrictions on how people live, like when we just offer them basic shelter is when we're seeing these people are actually, it's more cost effective to society. Not necessarily like they're going to get into recovery. That's one thing that we need to look at. Like not everybody's going to want to get into recovery.
But that doesn't have to be the goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could like financially for the burden of the state investing in housing and just giving people housing instead of intervening with emergency care like emergency rooms or jails. It's costing us a lot more society to do that. And it builds even more stigma instead of just treating people like basic humans.
Yeah. Gunnar, that's so cool. Oh, that's awesome. So what's like next for you with that? How do you get started in that?
Well, I applied to graduate school to UCSD.
Oh, that's right. You need graduate school first. Okay, cool.
And I will find out soon. I think in
Really
January,
cool.
I find out if I get accepted. Hopefully I get accepted because I
You'll get
I
accepted.
hope so. Yeah.
You'll get
I will.
accepted.
Yeah,
That's
I
really
don't
cool.
understand why some people are like, yeah, so that's the goal. That's I
Yeah.
finally have kind of started finding that purpose I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's just little steps at a time. I think that's like addicts, we want everything right here, right now. If I don't know what's going on, I have a hard time with that. But like letting things slowly develop and just putting in the work every single day and trying to maintain a positive attitude is
Yeah.
all we could really do.
Right.
Things have slowly been revealed, like, oh, this is what I should do.
Yeah. That is so cool. I can't believe that's what you want to do now. It's policy stuff. That's just the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's like incredible to me.
Yeah, thank you.
So, last question. Spiritual stuff. Where are you at with that? Was that kind of easy for you? Do you have any sort of spiritual connection? Was that hard for you to develop?
Yeah, spirituality is an ongoing battle, right?
Right.
Or balance. It's something that's always evolving.
Okay. I
don't know about you, but I grew up in I grew up Mormon for the first 10 years of my life. So to have that as a foundation, like this is what I knew, it was coming in the program and trying to develop a higher power. It was kind of like, well, I don't believe in this faith whatsoever.
Totally.
How do I
Okay.
separate religion from spirituality?
Yeah.
Which it took me a little while to do, right? But at this point, I've developed a spirituality that is ever evolving. It's something that I don't understand, and it's something I don't ever need to understand. I think that's really what has helped me, is finally not trying to place a label on what my higher power is or what my spirituality is.
Right.
It is, pretty basic to be kind and loving and empathetic.
Yeah.
Those are all spiritual principles that
Totally.
I get behind.
Yeah. I lied. This is my last question. Because you were a hardcore dope fiend, living outside, doing fentanyl, doing heroin for years. Have you had cravings in the past 3 years?
Every once in a while I have a little bit. Not really, though. I don't.
Not really? Okay.
It's the times that I tried to get clean in my early 30s and my late 20s, there was always just like that constant craving.
Me too.
Always there. But for whatever reason, call it the universe, call it God, call it whatever you want. I guess it was just the appropriate time for me to get clean when it happened. And I've been super blessed by the fact that I don't have these nagging wants to get high.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, like there'll be something that triggers me, and I'll just get like a flood of dopamine because my brain is like, oh yeah, you used to do this, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of natural, and I just let it pass.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's not like it used to be. You don't remember how it used to
Oh,
be.
yeah.
I
Oh,
could be
yeah.
in jail, and just like the only thing I'm thinking about is getting high. Or even when I was in drug.
Even when I was in programs, when I was in
Yeah.
FRC, that's how I felt. The whole time I was in FRC, which is a 9-month program, I wanted to use every single day.
Man,
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
I can't believe you have 3 years now. That's amazing. And I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for doing this. I really
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
All right.